So if we look at our results for year three, we see that as far as net income, we see that definitely net incomes have increased. So from most teams reaching about 50 million as a very good goal for year one. In year two, teams are getting around 75 million, close to 100 million. And in year three, most teams are exceeding $100 million of income, which is excellent, which you'd expect from an industry that's growing at 20 to 30% in sales. If we look at points per team, we had year two was troubling for some teams. Some teams actually lost points. But by year three, just about everybody made points, including one team that made almost 1,200 points. And we had a few teams in the 900 range of points, which is incredible. But most people had points around or over 400, which is your goal, pretty much your goal each round is to get at least 430 points. If we look at stock price, we still have one team leader, MMAJ Autos, in the lead in stock price, and they've been in the lead for the last 2 years. We have a new second place, Real Automotives, and we have, it looks like, a new third place, which is Super Gay Autos, and then fourth place, which was last year's second place, Ask Automotive. So we have a high end of around $60+ in the stock price, and we have a few companies still below $20. Okay. Now in sales, we have main event, Vroom Vroom. So these are the two companies over 500 million in sales. So they just have to learn how to turn those sales into more profits. You can see that most companies increase their sales. Earnings per share, we had some companies were flat on their earnings per share, but most companies increased. In the top earnings per share, we have MMAJ Autos, which is also one of the tops for points, and Super Gay Autos also, Real Automotive. So these are some of the teams that have top points as well, but most everybody else is in sort of this range down here. And then, okay, so let's look at, so here are the top teams for points. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4 teams with over 900 points. Majority of the class scored over 400 points, which is sort of your goal. And we had, let's see, we only had a few teams below, we had about 10 teams or so below 300 points, which is not good. You want to always get close to or over 400 points to make the goal for an average of 400 points to make the goal for the game. Now, gross profit margins, we have a number of companies above 50%. So remember, the game started at 40%, so you should be, by the third, fourth round, you should be close to in the 50s or in the 60s now, heading towards rounds, starting round 4 and going into round 5. So teams are still below. I have a number of teams at 40% or below. These teams are not listening to me. I keep saying in all the videos and in class that you have to improve your gross profit margins. So if you're still at 40% or below, you haven't done anything. You started at 40%, so you haven't done anything to improve your profit margins. This is why you're not doing well in the simulation, why you're not making points. You're not getting it. You're not listening to these videos. You're not understanding that companies need to make profits. You need to raise prices, lower costs to get your gross profit margins higher. Okay. And when you have high gross profit margins, when you have high gross profit margins and they turn into profits, that helps your score. So we have a number of teams here with, and also helps your stock price. So we have a number of teams here with above $50 per share stock price, and most teams within the $40 range. Okay. Now, total points, cumulative points. So far we have, this is only completed round 3, so half over. And this one team here has over 2,000 points. We have a number of teams in the 1,800 range, 1,900, 1,700 range. So our ultimate goal in cumulative points is, so it says over here, 2,600. We want to score over 2,600 to get an A for this project. So many teams here, we got 3 rounds left, and they don't have to score many points to get that that full score. So right now, if we're looking, you're halfway down, so you should be around, if you're around 1,300 points, you're on track. So we have a majority of the class, let's see. All right, so from this line here, every team from Puma and above is on track to get an A in the project, have over 1,300 points. The teams below Puma here, these teams, all the way down to one team with just 50 points, and then we move up quickly to the 1,300. These teams here, they're not out of the woods, but they can still certainly get the 2,600 points, get a full score on the project. They just have to turn their company around, which you have to increase your profits, and you have to be a better financial planner. And this is stuff I've been talking about in class and reviewing with these videos. Okay, so, all right. So let's see, we have a new round coming up. So my demo, my practice game, for year 3, I'm in year 3, round 3, okay. So my score for round 3 was 593. And now that I'm in year 3, what you should do as a student, of course, check over your overview points and see where you didn't do so well. Looks like my forecast was a little low, but pretty much every area I improved on in most every area, including gross profit margin. And then in the assessment is where I would want to look at each of my star ratings, my percentile, my performance, and get some advice on how to improve. And they give you some basic advice on how to improve. A lot of these areas I'm doing very well. I know total asset turnover, I didn't do so well in total asset turnover because I invested heavily in assets, which that's going to come back to me moving forward as I turn those assets into more profits. As I look at the charts, if I look at the performance chart, I want to see how my forecasting is, and I can see here that I'm under forecasting, grossly under forecasting my luxury, my truck, and my sedan. And economy is the only one where I met all my forecasts. So I got to keep that in mind when I'm doing the next round. All right, where am I? Okay. So I would check out the industry, see how I'm doing against my competitors. Now that I understand financials better, maybe I'll look through my financials a little bit, the cash flow, and then back to my sales. So in my sales area for round 3, I'm going to look at, trying to beat if I look at my overview page, I see I left off on my gross profit margins at 54. So my sales page, I want to do better than 54%. So I'm going to have to maybe sacrifice some quality on this to get my profit numbers up. All right. So let's see here. Economy is tough. I need to make more operational cost reductions, I think, to get me to the point where I need to be. Okay, so I have to sacrifice in certain areas to try to get above where I left off. So this round is a little hard as far as so each of the areas. All right, so all right. So after I do my sales, so I configured my sales to try to get my profit margins higher. Now, I wasn't able to really satisfy my customers' expectations in every area. So I'd have to take that into account in my marketing. I might market a little bit more heavily to try to make up some of those, the fact that my cars aren't really going to be the best cars in the market because it's really hard to make these profit margins because every year these customer expectations increase. So if I'm not really increasing my cost reductions as fast as my customer expectations are increasing, it's going to get harder and harder for me to make the profit margins I need. Okay, so I did the marketing. It took a while, but I'm not going to go through that on camera. It's just it takes a little too long. For round 3 production, I see that my capacity, I don't need to expand my capacity, so I'm going to reduce this here. For most of these, let me reduce, because I don't want to, I definitely need to buy one here and here. I don't want to buy extra plants unless I need them. So I already entered in my production amounts to meet my forecast, and I'm going to increase my operational investments because I'm going to need them to help maintain my profit margins moving forward. And remember to keep filling out these reflective observations. I am looking at them, and they are important for moving forward with the simulation. And it is part of your grade. If you don't complete all the reflective observations, points will be taken off at the end of your grade for the project. So keep that in mind. It is part of completing each round. And I notice that some teams are doing a great, fantastic job on them. I really get to understand what they're thinking and how they're doing. And then I notice that some teams are not doing it, and then they are going to be penalized. And some teams are really half-heartedly doing that. So that's not appreciated. So please do a good effort on that. So let's see here. I have a cash deficit of almost 6 million. So I'm going to look for some additional funds to meet that gap. So I'm going to look for 10, maybe I'll do 15 million just so I have a surplus. And I have a surplus of 8 million. So let me process the round and see how I did for year 3. Okay. All right, so year 3, only 189 points. Where did I go wrong? Now that I've finished year 3, we could see that I did increase my profit margins, which was good, but I increased my assets tremendously because I bought all those reflective observations, so I lost points in asset turnover and return on assets. So in years 4, 5, and 6, I'm going to have to really make those numbers pay off. My forecast was weak on truck and on luxury. I did good on operational investments, but I have a deficit due to, why did I have that unexpected deficit? I had unsold vehicles for truck and luxury that caused that unexpected deficit. So if I go into my analysis here, we could see where advice about where I did poorly on the round moving forward. So, I can bounce back from that now that I understand using the assessment and going over the overview and looking at my charts. I could see that, get an idea where I went wrong. And see, now I have 59% is what I need to beat. So now that in year 4, which is now caught up to the class, I see that I have $7,200 in cost reductions. So when I make my cars now, I'll have a much better time here beating that 59%. I'm getting a 10% increase in. I'm going to get a 10% increase in. Let's see if I could do that for. Yeah. well, 8% increase. And don't go by my fork. This is just an example, so don't follow the numbers I put in here. And you can see if you did that last round, I didn't perform super great. Sorry, my phone was going off. I didn't perform super great on the last round, and so you don't want exactly, these are not, I'm not putting these numbers for you to copy, and I'm purposely putting in mistakes as I'm doing it so I can explain them. So here I just want to show you that because I put such heavy investments in operational investment, I did lose points on my asset turnover and total asset turnover and return on assets. I lost points on because it was difficult to really grow the company in line with the growth of the assets. But this round, since I had such a heavy investment, I am going to be able to beat my gross margin percentages from the previous round by a significant level. Okay. So let's see what I can do in luxury here. Okay, and again, luxury. Okay, so in all categories, I was able to beat my my percentage of GP from the previous round because I made such heavy investments in operational investments, and that's going to help me moving forward. Okay, so I'm not going to complete year 4. I'll do that next time, but I hope that this review had given you some ideas about how to move forward and progress forward and do well. And remember, you have unlimited practice rounds that you can go into and keep resetting your practice rounds and moving forward, testing your ideas, testing different strategies, so you can make sure that you're going to do well in the next round. If you're not using practice rounds to kind of refine your strategies and improve upon your competition, you will not exceed in this game. So good luck, and remember, we're going to be processing the round soon on, let's see, March 23rd, which is tomorrow. So be prepared to have your round completed by then, and I'll talk to you soon.